What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. I would be honored if you let me entertain you. Let me help you make your next thing a big one. Today on the program, I have Susan Clark. Who's Susan Clark? Well, if you don't know by now, you're going to get to know in the next few minutes. So stick around, and we're going to have a nice conversation with Susan Clark. This week's shows, well, I have one public show as we break out of the coronavirus quarantine, and that's at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam, 8 p.m. until 1:30 in the AM on Friday nights at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. They have a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money on a Friday night, I encourage you to check out the Rab. Come see me. Yeah, you could play pool, you could do some drinking, and have some good food, and while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me. Now, we're still wearing masks on the way into the Rab, and while you're walking around, go ahead and keep your mask on. Try to protect each other, keep each other safe. I know there's vaccines that are coming, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, yes, we're going to be through this. We're getting through this. Oh, my goodness. I feel for the people that have lost their lives due to COVID and the like. But wow, I see there's a light at the end of the tunnel. My goodness. All right, let's get into it with Susan Clark. Now, I was only able to get her on the phone, so the video version just has yours truly doing the moving, and then I have a still photograph of Susan Clark. So let's get into it with Susan Clark. Calling Susan Clark now.
Hello.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, Dan. How are you doing? How are you?
Oh, so good. So good. Finally made it into the office. Thank you so much for being on. Susan, the window get tribble? Maybe you can pronounce that.
Window get tribble.
Window Catribble. All right. Give the people an idea of who you are.
Okay. Well, first of all, I thank you for having me on your show. It's so sweet. Let's see. Well, I kind of wrote it all down so I remember what I was going to talk about. So. I was born in Mendota, Illinois in 1966, and then I was adopted when I was 3 months old. And then my family moved to Pleasanton, California, and we lived there for about 9 years. And then my dad and a couple other people bought the company, and they moved to Tucson here about 1978 to 79. And then I'm going to get all the hard stuff out for, get that done first. And then
this is your story. I want to hear it all.
Okay. I can write books and pages, I graduated from Sabino High School in 1985.
Which high school?
And it's Sabino High School.
Is that in Tucson?
That's in Tucson.
Okay.
And I actually stayed back a year in 6th grade because we had just moved, and I was like, which was fine because my sister was a year younger, so that was nice. I knew somebody, That's always nice. And so then I attended Pima Community College, and I was to major in social work, and then I really couldn't get past the algebra because for me, like numbers and letters, they don't mix down. They don't do that. That's just so wrong for me. So I ended up like excelling in the creative writing and the poetry type thing, and which was fine with me. I really didn't finish there because life kind of happened, and so then around in 1994, I became a volunteer poetry columnist with the Good News magazine here in Tucson. And that was housed in the KGMS radio station here in Tucson. And before my time with the poetry column, which was called The Roaring Tide, I was getting published by, different anthologies and publications. And at the same time, I was getting some recognition for music lyrics for writing those. And I had earned some awards for those, for that type of writing. And my time on Twitter actually began in 2011. And I really didn't stay long then because life was happening some more,
Mm-hmm.
And then I wasn't on for a while until about 2013, and that's where I met my besties on Twitter. And the besties are Doreen and Bill. Doreen, you might know, is Angel Wing, Ellie's Angel Wing. She's she's such a delight, I have to say. She's been wonderful. Okay, and then during this time, I was involved also in a ministry called during the 2013, I was involved with the Daughters of the King ministry here in Tucson.
Okay.
Okay, so then in 2014, I met Richard Thomas on Twitter, and since he had come into my life has never been the same. It's been interesting to say the least. So I wrote a manuscript including him, mm-hmm. and it explains some things. It's called The Man in the Clouds.
Well, that sounds like a great title so far.
Yeah.
Now, is it Susan Clark? Is that what it is?
It's Susan Clark.
Okay. Now, let's take it piece by piece, because you've gone through, you give like an overview of everything up to 2014, but I like to go a little more in depth about you. This is your chance to tell a little bit more about you. You say when you were younger, you got adopted. Did you know your birth parents, or was it something that was very young?
At that time, I didn't know my birth parents, no. I did find out now, because I'm with 23andMe for about three or 4 years, and come to find that Barbara Zimmerman was my birth mother, and Larry McCaslin was my father, my birth father, but I didn't find that out for a little while. But they both are deceased.
Oh.
But I have a whole bunch of cousins, and I have like 2 or 3 stepbrothers, and like a stepsister. And we really haven't gotten too much together on talking yet. But I do have a third cousin in Sierra Vista here that I've talked to, and hopefully we'll meet soon. And then I have cousin Charmin, who's also a third cousin. And she is on Twitter, and she lives in California with her, her husband and her daughter. And so they're around. It's just we haven't met.
I wonder about adoption. I have a sister that's adopted. She's over 25 years younger than me, so we really didn't grow up together. But my mom and my stepdad wanted to have a child, and my mom's much older, so she couldn't conceive that easily. Right. So they adopted, and so I have a wonderful sister, and she has since connected with her family as well. And I wonder, since you connected later, and you do have a sibling, at least one sister that was 1 year younger than you, right?
Well, yeah, and she's the natural child of my adoptive parents, who are also deceased. And she lives with her family over in Murphy, Texas, and she's been such a rock for me. I'm more of the creative type, and she's more of the logical type, like my dad was. My adoptive dad, very get to the facts. And I'm like, and my attention span's never been great because I'm always I'm always playing the music.
Yeah.
You see me.
Well, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, to where I try to keep things in line, because you did tell me a lot of things, but I do want to delve into some of the things. So adoption was like one of the original things, and you connected with your birth family. And how has that experience been, and have they blended with your adopted family as well?
Well, I don't know yet, but I know that it was very overwhelming for me, because I had gone so long without knowing. And my sister, who is the natural one, she's the one that got me the 23andMe package, like for my birthday or something, and and it's been overwhelming. I would love to meet them all, though. That's for sure.
Well, I've heard it. Okay, let me talk about the 23andMe thing. I know this is not a commercial for 23andMe, but a lot of people have been trying to find out their ancestry, and there is medical benefit to it as well. But and there's different packages I guess you can get, but somewhere around $100 you can figure out where maybe your ancestry is from. And I don't know how far in depth did you go. What kind of information did you get from 23andMe?
Well, it's almost $200.
Okay.
And so I found out, as far as my background, I'm mostly English and Irish.
Yeah.
So I come from the London and Cork County, Ireland, and then I have a lot of French and German and all that kind of stuff, kind of like in the back of the bubble of the European stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the smaller end of my genetics are Sub-Saharan and North African, and which is kind of straight. I mean that's wonderful, and a little bit of Middle Eastern also. So, but it's interesting,
How has that helped to shape you? I mean, did it change you at all, knowing all this information, or did it help you, or you say, wow, I'm half Irish, or maybe I should celebrate on St. Patrick's Day more, or something. How did it shape you?
I always kind of knew I was Irish because I was always like kind of a little bit of an imp, I always have that merriment and some quick humor and stuff. So I figured I had some Irish in me, and I always love Celtic type things. And the movies I like are like Excalibur and then the Game of Thrones, of course. But I didn't get to watch all of that, but I love stuff like that, So I loved it since I was born. It's like, give me a castle, give me people riding around with a bunch of armor on, going out for a good cause, or something.
I guess I'm with you there. Every iteration of Robin Hood or King Arthur or Merlin, any of those, I'll watch every one of them, every single one of them.
Amen. Are you a bit Irish too?
I'm half Irish, half Cuban, half Italian. I know that's three halves. I'm a big guy.
We like to eat the cuisine, and we love life, and we just I understand, and it's good to know what we like, inside the different things that we come from, I think it's a joy.
So, you moved around a little bit. You did mention that some. You said that they bought a business. What kind of a business did your parents get into?
Well, my dad was over in Antioch, California, and they bought custom inks and coatings, and it was for the business machines, and they made ink ribbons and also the rollers for the business machines, the ink rollers. And so they bought the ink formula and the patents and stuff, and they moved on over to Tucson. There's about there's about 3 other people that bought out the business with my dad, and one of them was I can't say his name because he's a very private person, but he came with us, and he was the person that developed the inks, and he's really interesting. He's a musician and stuff, and he lives up in Oro Valley right now. But I was around a whole bunch of music when I was growing up too. So, and he's just a genius, and so I haven't talked to him for a long time. But
Susan, I got to say that they have to be billionaires because those inks are expensive. Anybody who holds the patent to any kind of that inks and ribbons and anything that gets that's part of the printers, they'll sell you a printer for $20, but then the ink is $150. It's crazy.
Well, at that time, let's see, they actually stopped business in 2010 and sold it to Water Tech, or it's a it became a water plant. But they did very well for a long time. And then some things went kind of wrong, as they do sometimes.
Yes.
But they were in business for quite a long time, and they employed over about. When they moved to Tucson, it was called Polypore Incorporated. So,
wow.
And it was over near where the rodeo grounds are, and it's a big manufacturing plant. But right now, it's definitely a water tech plant, but they did very well for a long time, and it wasn't probably as expensive as it is today. I'm assuming. I would, I went out. I actually worked in the back a lot, with putting them together with some of the assembly group, and then I would actually move big rollers and blot them in the back. And, you had to blot some of the ink out. I would come out a whole bunch of different colors. I was in my zone. I was fine with that. And then I'd had to put them through the first part, which is extruding. And at that time, I was like Iron Woman or something.
Well, you don't realize how young and strong we are until we become old and frail.
No, I'm like Winnie the Pooh now from this pandemic.
Oh, my. As long as you're not Eeyore. No.
Oh, no, I'm not Eeyore.
No, you keep jovial.
If you get me started, that's all we're going to do is laugh through the whole thing.
Well, that's okay. We can laugh the whole hour. That's fine.
It's good for you.
All right, but you all right in school? What was it that held you back in 6th grade, though?
I was just nervous because I didn't know anybody, and so I'm glad we did, because we went to Fruit Chandler, the elementary right there, and I learned how to play chess. Oh. That was because he was the chess coach, and the fun part was if he would leave his books open and stuff so we could copy for any other kind of test. He was just interested in teaching us how to play chess. Uh-huh. And if we got in trouble, he would make us go run around the schoolyard or something like that, So, but he was just a cool Mr. Hooper. I know he's passed since, but that was just so much fun. And, it made me a better person to stay back, because I was kind of shy. I've been kind of a shy person, but sometimes, not all the time.
Well, I'm glad you had a Mr. Hooper. We always remember our teachers. I know there's at least two handfuls of teacher, including my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Brightwig. Why do I still remember her? Because she affected me. Teachers affect people, and any teachers listening, I want you to know you are appreciated for sure.
Definitely.
So Mr. Hooper, was Mr. What's that?
I had such great teachers in Tucson. That's I was lucky that way, or fortunate, whatever you want to call it, too. I mean, I had a Spanish teacher in high school, and I got to do some assisting for him, and he put me in what was that for the where you do world events? You get to go interview people for that. And I got to do some of that, which was fun. And I got to correct papers and everything like that, which is...
Well, how far did you get in chess? I know the moves. I can probably beat a 2-year-old, but...
a lot of people were better than I was, but I did pretty well. I could do a checkmate. It's been a long time since I've played, though, because there's nobody to play with around here. They don't play. But I thought it was fun, and I liked doing I got a few checkmates out of there, but thank goodness.
This online chess, it's not the same. It's like online Scrabble. It's not the same because you can just move letters around until they make up a word, and you can move your pieces around until they make a move that means something. Have you watched that Netflix thing, The Queen's Gambit?
Oh no, I didn't.
That's all, about a girl that plays chess, and she started
Oh
out very
wow.
young, and I think it's all fictionalized, but it's pretty interesting. She was showing the chess moves, and
Right.
you got to start with this advancement, and she was naming all these advancements, and
Right.
there's
Usually you
yeah.
right. Usually you put like a little pawn out, and then the other person puts like some other piece out or a pawn, and then you kind of judge what's coming your way from the other person, and then you're going, well, I'm going to go do this because then I can get, their bishop or something, or and then you watch, so it's like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
What are they getting?
But there's books and books of strategies that people study, and if you if you move this pawn forward and I move that knight over here, then automatically you're already thinking 4, 5, 6, 10 moves in advance. It's
right.
real strategic.
Right. I love it.
I don't think I've ever gotten that far to where I can think more than maybe a move or two in advance. So I'd love to get into it to where, if I got any better at it. I guess I'm getting older, so I could probably be one of those old men in the park, playing chess. I don't know if they do that in Tucson. It's kind of hot out there, isn't it?
It's a little warm out here. Yeah, and we can reach into the 112s and stuff. You don't want to go out there.
I've been on the 10 driving through Arizona, and it was so beautiful. I don't remember where the 10 actually went through, but I remember seeing parts of the Painted Desert. So beautiful out there.
It's gorgeous. And right now it's just perfect because we're not quite in our hot stage yet. Although we've been hitting up into the high 70s to low 80s. So and then at night it drops into the 60s or something like that. It's been beautiful. And then we've been having a lot of wildlife now. For a while we didn't have a whole bunch of wildlife, and but now we're seeing deer.
Thank you, COVID.
Yeah, thank you, COVID. Yeah, because we're not ruining them, or they're not being harmed on the people driving and running them over and stuff.
I've heard these things from listening to science podcasts that the wildlife is coming back. Yosemite Park is overrun with bears and moose and deer, and this, it's amazing that they're all coming back and flourishing, and the vegetation as well. Yeah.
I mean, because I'm in high school, like when we were waiting for the bus, we would just be hanging out with the coyotes.
What?
Yeah, they just lay there, They just like, hey, you going to school? Yep.
And you can imagine that they are talking to you. You can make them anthropomorphic, and yeah, they're your little buddies. Hopefully they don't gnaw your hand off. Ooh.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
My goodness.
Me and my sister would just be waiting for the bus, and there they are.
People regionally all over this great country of ours, and all over the world, really. I'm from Miami and the Florida Keys, and people thought, all you do is sit under a palm tree and eat coconuts and drink coconut milk, and that's your thing. And I figure people from Tucson, you hang out with coyotes. It's a thing.
Sure. It's a thing. It really is. And sometimes we get the bobcats. There was one time I was going to an Episcopalian church, and it was like a cool day for some reason, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been warmer. But we saw the bobcats in the colored the pane glass, right? And they were sitting. It was a couple, and they were just attending church that way. So, and sure, we weren't really paying attention to the message that day. We were like, look at the bobcats,
They are distracting. I think we had dolphins down in the Keys, and if they ever showed up, that's it. Whatever you were doing, whatever work you were doing, whatever activity you were doing, hey, there's dolphins over there. Okay, let's check those out.
Oh, I would love that. That's what I would love to do, because I'm not near the ocean or beach anymore, except I used to go, I have some relatives on the adoptive side, from like Anyway, I would go to the beach with my cousins and stuff on Huntington Beach, and I would have the best time, or go to Newport Beach, and you'd watch the dolphins. I was like, I want to go swim with them.
Well, that's a good segue, Susan. That's a good segue, Susan Clark, into the different places that you have grown up. What do you remember about some of the places that you started off in? What's your first memory, and where were you?
Okay, so it would be Rock Island, Illinois, before California. Just for a little bit when my dad was working for, I think he was a salesman. I forgot what he was doing, but I remember cold.
Way too cold.
It was cold. Oh. Yeah, and so I was like, I remember going around in the basement and playing there, and then if I wanted to go over to my friends, I'd have to go through the snow to go to the next door, and I would like sink in. Like, so that was one of my first memories of getting out as a little young person. In California, it was fun because it's sunny there. So I grew up in Pleasanton, California, and it's so much bigger from what some people are telling me now. But I attended Donlin School right there, and there was a cheese factory there. It was an old-fashioned cheese factory. So after church, we would go to the cheese factory, and it was just delicious, and just beautiful area. And we would have roller skating parties around the block, the old metal wheels and stuff like that. It was just a blast, and they had grass over there. We have this Bermuda grass. You don't even want to sit on that. That's like ouch.
Okay.
But they had the regular grass there, and we would have like puppet parties. All the kids would make like up stories or something, like the Wizard of Oz or something. Just we had a blast there.
Well, that sounds like a fun childhood right there. But going from the cold to the warm California sun.
The warm California sun. Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, I miss it. It was much smaller too right now. But.
Well, I came from Miami and the Florida Keys, as I mentioned, and now I'm Central Arkansas, and we had snow about a couple of weeks ago. That was crazy. Did you have snow down there in Tucson?
Oh, we only had like 2 little days of it. Oof. We were just like watching in the mountains, and sometimes it'll get on the ground here because we're up in the canyon area, but we have the Catalinas right over us, and so it'll catch most of it. But it was fun. It was nice to have some of the rain come in and watch the snow pile up, on the mountains, because we had fire this last year, and that was scary. On our mountains, because it was so dry, and we were just like, they were preparing to almost evacuate us,
Well, Susan Clark, I thought, what do you think? You're California? They're the ones that are on fire all the time. Tucson was on fire as well?
Oh, yes. It's dry here because we're desert territory. So, Oof. Yeah. So when I'm asking everybody to send over the rain, it's like, it's because we really need it.
That.
Because I figure we're having some climate change, so our monsoons aren't what they used to be during the August month, July, August. And so we're not getting the rain that we used to. So we're just like, come on, winter, come here, So, but it's beautiful. The Catalinas are just gorgeous. It's called Mount Lemmon in the back, and it's the Catalina mountain range, and then we're surrounded by mountains. We have the Rincons and the other two, I can't remember right now, but
well, growing up, do you do any of that mountain climbing or hiking or anything? What is there to do in Arizona?
Oh, what is there to do? Oh, we had Old Tucson. Now that was fun.
What's Old Tucson?
But Old Tucson was the movie studios. They used to shoot like things like Tombstone and John Wayne.
What?
And it's like in the Clint Eastwood movies, all his westerns.
What?
A lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah, we're a wild town. Are you kidding? We have the old Wild West out here, baby.
Yeah, I guess I've been to Tombstone when I was a kid. Oh, you snorted. Yeah. That's the first snort. Yes, first snort.
You got me. You got me.
I love laughing. I love it. But man, I think I've been to Tombstone, yeah, I guess I've been there. It's like a touristy type town, but Tucson has the same kind of a deal.
Well, Old Tucson was actually the film place for Old Tombstone. You know, they had some of it there, but this was set up as a movie studio.
Wow.
And I was a Little House on the Prairie was also filmed out here at Old Tucson. I was very fortunate to meet Michael Landon more than once, which was nice. Yes. And he didn't really always remember my name, but he remembered my face. The other thing we used to go do is, it was the tennis tournament, and Michael Landon would host it out here with the celebrities, and we got to go hang out with a bunch of people while they're, playing tennis. And my memory was sitting next to Albert, the guy that played Matthew Latox, and we talked for a while, and that was fun. And then remember Peter Brady, Christopher Knight?
I remember Peter Brady. What?
I got to sit next to him and get my picture taken. Christopher Knight.
What was he doing there?
All the celebrities playing tennis. It was fun. Yes, it was fun. Oh, and then one of the funniest ones, I was there with one of my a boyfriend at the time, and we were just walking down the sidewalk, and he goes, "Oh, Mickey Dolenz is in back of us," and I thought, "Oh, he's probably farther back or something." So I turned around to look. Boom! Right there.
There's a monkey right behind you. There's a monkey right behind you.
There was a monkey behind me. That's a good way to get autographs, I tell you.
Oh my gosh!
That was so funny.
I didn't realize Tucson was such a mecca, but I guess it's close enough it's close enough to Hollywood, and if people are searching for good backgrounds and good locations, the Painted Desert's gorgeous.
You'd be surprised who I've kind of run into around here. Well, it's a long story, but the close encounter. There's one time I was behind Leonardo DiCaprio because we have the Canyon Spa up here. Yes. It's that was a long time ago, but he like slowed down so I could see him, and then he turned off to the Canyon resort thing. And then a few years after that, he was looking for a house around our townhouse community. And I was like, oh, man. And the funny part was I was, like, getting ready to go to the swimming pool, so I had my hair up, and I had my, like, the little noodle things for the pool and stuff, And he's going, it's just a beautiful day to go swimming, and isn't it? And I was like, he looks familiar. And he was wearing the overcoat like he wears a lot. The gentlemen wear those. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, I knew that's who he was. But I was like, oh my God, And so I didn't really ask but it was a nice little how do you do type thing.
Yeah, he seems like an interesting person. He's a child actor that made it out. You hear about all these child actors that don't quite do so well once they grow up because they don't know how to be people. Their childhood has been taken away from them. Oh, it's wonderful that you're meeting all these people.
Oh, well, kind of. I mean, they just, it was like a hello, how you doing? And then when my dad was still alive, we went over to El Charro, and we were eating like a early dinner, and I kept looking over at this one table, and I was like, no, and I kept looking at, and I was talking to my dad, and I kept looking over there, and I was like, I looked at it like it was like Jim Carrey and the guy that played Monk, Adrian,
Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub. I kept looking, going, no, couldn't be, but I kept going, Dad, I think we got some Hollywood types over there. I didn't see any.
Well, that's amazing. Well, creative. You're a creative person yourself, and you developed that at a young age. You said that when you were in school, you were doing creative writing. How much of the poems? And I know you have a whole blog site on poetrysoup.com.
Poetry, right?
That has all your poems. When did you start doing that?
I just have been, I've been getting published for like, many years now, since 2010, 2011, even a little bit before that, I was getting published with anthologies because I thought at first I just entered some kind of little contest and then they published me. I thought that was fun. And so then I started trying out other ones. And then
What's an anthology? I know
like
I've heard the word.
A collection of poems,
So you're like a part of a collection of poems that gets published?
Yeah, I have been, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
what are those books that they can find, that people can find them?
I don't even know anymore, but I just kind of collected the little certificates and stuff, and I only bought like a couple, and I can't remember right off, but
do you get a piece of that action if somebody buys that book?
Oh, no,
okay.
That was just for, but some of them were more like, I took second or third place or something,
nice.
And there was some other one, a lady over in Australia I was published with also. They didn't really name the publication, and then I had published a couple books, but I took them out of publication right now because of some different things that were going on. But I'm going to renew it pretty soon. I'm going to like redo it. And
well, is it copyrights? Maybe you can steer some people through problems or uphill battles or trials and tribulations in writing your own books and having them published. Is it rights or something?
Yeah, it was that, and then also like I have like a little bit medically retired, but and so you can't really make anything over that money or something like that, or so. I mean, I don't know what I was doing. I don't want to like jeopardize like some benefits that I get for that.
No, I get it. But it's so sad that people can't succeed. Yeah, right. you might be hurting in this area where you can't get this kind of employment, but if you have the creative ability to make a song or make a poem, how would you want to hold you back on that? How would
I think and I'm thinking some of these things were meant to happen. I feel like that everything happens the way it's meant to happen, and I feel like God will get me to that place I'm supposed to be, and that again kind of really ties in with Richard and stuff. Richard Thomas here, he was kind of like one that butted me back into place where I'm supposed to go with my creativity. Kind of like, hey, nope, because I was like feeling like, well, why even bother for sometimes, I would get down, I would get depressed, but ever since that time with meeting him, I've been like, wow, what's going on here?
and that brings us to 2014 is what you said, right?
Right.
Now, you always you have mentioned throughout that you were a church-going person, that you Episcopal, is that what it is?
I'm more like evangelical, but I tried in the different churches around here. Mm-hmm. When we moved here, my parents were Presbyterian, and so we tried that for a while. But I've always just been in a relationship with God. I've always, so I've always had him around, and the angels. I've always known that the angels are around me. And sometimes in California, I would laugh a lot because the angels were making me laugh. Because I went through some hard things with being adopted and some other kind of things, but they would make me laugh, and my sister would tell me the next day, and I'm going, "Oh, that was just the angels,"
Did you ever figure out why you were adopted? It was.
They just couldn't keep me.
I got you. Sometimes it's just that simple. Sometimes it is.
They're a wild bunch there. I don't know. There's more to the story. With on my mother's side. Now this is kind of strange, but according to 23andMe, when they're the migrational people, went from the Europe, from Africa to Europe, right? And in that, I share an ancestor with it's just an ancestor that I share way back, but I share it with Jesse James.
Wow.
I know that. I know that's weird. That's way far back. So, and it was through the maternal line. It wasn't through. It was through his Susan Levine James. I'm not or something. Anyway, it was his younger sister, Susan Levine, and that's how that's how the DNA went that way or something. But it's really strange stories.
So you're a bit of an outlaw then? You don't want to mess around with a girl like you? You're a rebel?
No. I think I'm not sure.
Well, you got to know whether you're a good kid or not. Do you try to be a good girl?
I'm a good person. Yeah, I do believe so.
Well, that's what I gather. But Susan Clark, you've learned a lot about your ancestry, and you did grow up one way, and then you've learned another way, and it's kind of affected you a little bit. But all right, let's delve into your. Was it Richard Thomas?
Right. Yeah,
Who is he, and what does he do?
Okay, well, here. He is a guitarist, and he used to be with Operator and Rev Theory, and that was in the 90s, I believe. So I had really never heard of him, even though I know he did a tour. They did a tour in Tucson, and excuse me, that's the Arizona dust, So I wrote something with my time with him when that early time. And it's called The Man in the Clouds Playing His Guitar. So, I was kind of nervous, but so The Man in the Clouds Playing His Guitar. And we went over a lot of stuff. So when I was in KGMS doing my poetry column, I was around a lot of the Christian bands that were popular in those days. And I met Jars of Clay.
Cool.
I was able and I met Guardian and some other people. Oh, David Meese. I got to meet him. That was interesting. And the Newsboys and Imagine This. So I was, able to be around that kind of thing, and it was fun. So then we get down into anyway, let me get closer to the poems and stuff.
Oh yeah, David Meese, Christian musician. Okay, I was looking him up in the success in the mid 1980s.
Yeah, so he came over. He was sitting down in the thing for a break or something, and he just asked me to come and sit over with him, and he talked to me about some of the music business and everything. And he's like one of the original people that did a lot of stuff that I think Michael W. Smith bought some of the rights to it or something. I don't remember what, but David Meese was definitely, he's excellent with the piano, and his music was just wonderful. And I was so glad he was talking to me and teach me a little bit about what happens, Okay, well, Richard Thomas, like I said, he was originally with Operator and Rev Theory, and he got me going towards the right direction with some things. And the next thing I knew it, I had a whole bunch of music people following me, which I really love. Everybody loves that, and the guitarist and everything. And I was like, oh, hey, this is fun. And then I ended up also helping people like Drew Greenway and David Josty. And
you got to explain who these people are, because I know that there is a thing called Christian music, and but I'm not familiar with all. I know the big ones, Jars of Clay, and for sure they have had crossover success.
Yeah, these smaller ones, they just kind of came to me, and I've done what I can to help support them and get them retweeted or whatever, and I put a little money towards them when I can. And just so, a blessing, just to get them going. And I do that every month for about 5 of them. I do that for Richard and David Joseph and Drew Greenway and Sapphire Rain, right? Those are my main ones. And then sometimes I like to help Faith Head, and when I can. And I've helped the 13-Minute Band every so often, and they're really fun. It's hard to explain. I'll have to show you. I'll put it all on your direct message there. That'll help.
Well, that would be good. But you know, so all right. So, what path are you on? Are you doing songwriting? Because if you started with poetry, what's the difference between poetry and songwriting, or is it pretty much the same? You put a song, you put music to a poet. What's that?
Right. They're kind of like cousins. They're like first cousins or something. I'm more of a prose poet, but when I do my song writing, it's more like it's more lyrical. It's hard to explain. I don't have any of my. Well, the poem I have here is, of course, about Richard, but.
Well, give me a little bit of it.
Okay. So this is called Abrupt Adjustment in My Directional Flow. And then it starts out of my deepest broken heart that I have ever had, I couldn't see the light of God anymore. My directional flow of movement stood still. I didn't move anymore. Felt like it was okay to stay in the way's path, but you, God, were not having that. By your mercy, one of your angels who flies between both places swooped and picked me up the elevator to my dreams with you. That's part of it.
That's gorgeous.
You ready? You want the rest of it?
Give it to me.
Okay. So the elevator to my dreams with you caught me up in the surety and the strength of prayer. A seasoned knight of your realm, dear Lord King. I am sure that I am not his only rescue. No time to keep that broken heart. No, God's business is at hand, and I too must transform fully into that what you've created me to be. While his guitar is a weapon of choice, slicing through Satan's waves of hate and death, that bad Satan screams along with his demons, turning whiter than any ghost could. They can't flee fast enough. Never seen the like before. It is the same with my pen, although this angel has those weapons also and more. He inspires me to develop my God-given talent to help fight the spiritual warfare that is at hand. And all that I can do, Jesus, is humbly say thank you, Lord, and walk into the beauty, the joy that you've had for me all along. May I adjust and fight accordingly. I'm all in, Lord. I know that you will help me with the rest.
Wow. Yeah, I've never had anybody write that stuff about me. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, you never know.
It sounds like this man has affected you in such. Well, I mean, how did that all begin? Tell me about your first meeting in 2014.
Okay, let me go back to the thing here. Let's see. I've got papers.
See, you are the organized one. I'm not as organized as you are. I never study for these things. Really, I didn't have a lot to go on from you. All I had was, your Twitter and your poems, your poetry, which people can find if they go to poetrysoup.com.
I do have some
poems and poets. Really, the window. Well, the window got tribble. Tell me about that. What does that name mean?
Well, that was funny. That's pretty much what, I love tribbles, so I wanted to make sure that was in my the catch, right? Into the the handle, right? So in the window, that's all they had for that, because I guess tribbles is kind of popular for some reason, because that was a cute episode, right?
Well, I mean, what do you get when you feed a tribble too much?
Trouble. Window, I felt my interpretation of it is I am the window, wait, hang on, let me try that again. I am the tribble in the window. So window got triple. So, I'm peeking through the window at y'all in Twitter there. I'm like, I figure I'm kind of like that, So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
This is one of the rare ones that I don't get video, because usually I like to see people while I'm talking, and I know that you wanted a phone only, and hey, that.
Well, I'm not techie. So I don't have Skype, and I don't have the camera in the desktop computer.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we did the phone call. I'd probably be more nervous if I was seeing everybody. Could be.
It's just me. It's just me and you.
Yeah,
you and me. You and I are the only people that are talking in the whole wide world right now.
There you go. So, I think, when as time goes on, I'll be more comfortable again, because I've been out there in public before and stuff, but I'm kind of like I like to be in the background a lot, and then if other things happen, it's kind of like, oh, that's fun, But I can be a shy person, but.
Well, you're probably one of the smart ones, because Susan Clark, the people that make movies make almost all the movies. It used to be a handful of people that made all the movies, and then it was the actors that were struggling to find jobs. If you're a director, if you're the person in the background, if you're a musician, if you're a good musician, you could work on every album. There's there was groups of musicians throughout the country, and one at Motown, one at Stax Records, Sun Records. They had their group of hired guns, and if you were in that group, you were working on every album. It's an album for the Monkees, but the Monkees aren't really playing on this. The only one that's singing is Davy Jones, and that's it. Everybody else was home twiddling their thumbs while the record was being made by other musicians. That's the way it. Go ahead.
And and the fun part is, ever since I met Richard on Twitter, a lot of the ones that I'm working with, they ask my opinion, or the other ones ask my opinion on stuff, and they like what we talk in the direct message too. And so I've been trying to help some of the secular ones too. And one is Max DeBruno. One of his handles is Rider Wolf. He's been fun. I try to help him. And the one I'm working with right now, I'm hoping, and he calls me his little manager in Tucson. It's so cute. I just met him like a couple weeks ago, and he's called Dark Knight himself. I can't say his real name because he doesn't want that.
Okay.
But we've been talking, and so I'm working on some aspects of that, and he wants me to look into just helping him get out there more. And I really don't see it. I think I just know he's going to be a big talent out there, because he's just so creative, and he's so blessed, because he really wanted me to mention him in here. And I have one of his shirts, Dark Knight shirt, so I have lots of shirts from the bands and stuff, and I just go ahead and wear them around Tucson and stuff, when people ask, and then I'll tell them, what kind of ministry they're doing or what they're into, and because I really want them to do well. And I think sometimes creative people, until they're known, they just struggle financially, and they struggle to feed their families.
Yeah, starving artists is definitely a thing. That's for sure.
Exactly. And, I really like helping in that aspect of, I call it my ministry, that God gave me, so I like doing that.
So, Susan Clark, the path that you're on right now is writing music or social media, to where you're helping other musicians to get their name out there, to get recognized?
I would say the second one you just said right now, because I have a lot of poetry all over the place, and I just haven't compiled again, it needs all to be compiled correctly. But life always kind of gets to me, and I'm doing other stuff. But so I would say I'm helping them out. because it's fun.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure, for sure. And that's
and
what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be helping each other out in this crazy, crazy world.
that's right.
Definitely. And I'm glad that you're here on this podcast and getting the word out about you. This way,
Yeah.
you can get a little more recognition
Well, that's the,
for your poetry and
yeah.
what other things are you involved in that you want to let the people know about?
Well, like I do ministry. I am, I do, even though sometimes I'm just a regular human, but I've done prophetic ministries and stuff.
Where
And so
at?
I love it. I did that with Christ Comfort Ministries,
Mm-hmm.
and that was um, in 2011 and early in that kind of time. And I did that on and off for quite a few years. And then when I so when I was 40, then I started with the Daughters of the King in Tucson, and
Mm-hmm.
did some more prophetic ministry. And everybody knows everybody in Tucson. After a while, it gets that way. So, so I worked that, and I really had a fun time. When Jesus is moving through us, and people are getting healed or whatever, we're just there for the people that are just going through such horrendous things sometimes, and then to see them burst out in the laughter of the Holy Spirit, it's just I love that. And then they're healed and they can go on with their life. That to me is like when God's working through all of us like that, even on Twitter through prayer, and people are just going through so many difficult things with their health or whatever. I am just like and when God moves and heals them and does what He needs to do there, to me that's the whole ball game.
I just think that's
And
so fascinating. I love it. When people have faith and things just happen good for them, and it's just it's amazing to me. I had faith when I was younger, and I've been through the gambit to where I've been searching and searching, and I feel like I've lost my faith at some points and gained it in other points, and it's hard. It's hard. It really is hard to stay on that path, on a narrow path.
Right, and God's, as believers, though, He's and as long as we acknowledge Him and we know He's our Savior, He never leaves us. He's faithful. He goes with us through the highs and lows. He goes through everything with us. He knows, and He is the more so beautiful and so gentle and so loving. We are harder on ourselves, I believe, than He's ever on us. Yes, I mean, when we read the Bible, we see the parameters that He's given us to work in, but to study and understand Him. But He just, God is so immense that His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. I mean, there's times, when, the Noah's flood and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
He just loves us so much. He forgave us. He just brings us back because He loves His children. He loves what He makes.
Well, I was just thinking about that. Is when I read the book, and I know He used to be very vengeful way back when, and it seems like the New Testament, when Jesus came around, everything got a little more loving. It seemed like
it did.
Like it turned. I don't know if that's really if that's man putting their own spin on the words. But it looks like the book went from a vengeful God to a more loving God.
He's more loving God because he gave His only Son so that we don't have to go to the eternal hell. I mean, right? So He took all the anger that Father God had, and He gave His life for us. He stepped out in front of that truck for us, and the forgiveness is there up on the cross. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And he came to love, everybody that He was around, the people coming to Him to get healed. mother and his dad. He loves them. He loves us, so much that he went up against Satan for us, and has that victory, right? So he gave us that victory, and and he welcomes us with open arms.
So when you were preaching sermons back in 2011, was it you were up on the pulpit and you had to write something that you took some time out to write things? Were you that kind of a sermons?
No, we were like dancing and praising and worshiping.
Oh, okay.
So we were having the Holy Ghost the smoke come in. I don't know how do you call it, the cloud, the glory cloud, and it would come in, and we would just be like little children again. And you're just like so happy. You can dance, do whatever you want, like the worshiping and praising, and people would be getting healed. We would have words of knowledge for people, and we would cry with them if they were crying. We would laugh if they were laughing, just to be there for them and let God do what He wants to do with that environment. So that's how we operated, and sometimes like Dr. Choate, that was with the Christ Comfort Ministries. He would do some messages for us sometimes, and Yolanda was she was the head of the Daughters of the King, and she would get a message for us and stuff like that, and that was encouraging. The Christ Comfort Ministries, that was a strange place too. It was wonderfully strange.
Strange how? Yeah.
Oh, Tucson's really been wow for me, with all the things that have been happening, But Robert Choate, he is like one of the best evangelists that, maybe not a lot of people know.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen him for a long time now because people go their way, that happens. But I have nothing but the best hopes for him. But it was just the powerful anointings on both of those people in charge of the ministries was just something. But I'm glad, God can use all of us in those ministries or whatever, every day, in fact, which is nice, to help somebody else, to keep going. The Sapphire Rain I really like because they are a ministry to help prevent suicide and self-harm. That's their goal, is to have people not do those things, and so I really like helping them. Right now they are doing more like movie tracks, like soundtracks, instead of what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to give a shout out to my sister Amanda, who's the vocals for the Sapphire Rain, and she plays the guitar, and her husband Austin, he's the drummer. So they would do some really good stuff. Glow and Live, those are two of their songs that I remember right off the bat. But they're doing lots more. But they love people, and they just want to see them love themselves and love God. And so that's one of the ministries I really enjoy. Helping.
It sounds like you have great purpose, Susan Clark. Do you play any instruments yourself?
Yeah, piano.
Wow, really well? Like well enough to be in a band or play?
I think it's more kind of comes through my spirit. I'm not really trained on it. I mean, when I was little, they tried to give me some piano lessons, and I just let it flow, and it comes out really good. Just by ear, by my like spirit or inspiration. So I don't think I could really be in a band with that, but it kind of helps me with my poetry, with the creative writing, because it'll tune something into that channel, and they just kind of it's like a marriage. It's like boom, the writing and the music and all that kind of stuff. The funny part is when I was really little, my aunt, I went over to her piano, and I could barely even reach the keys, and I started playing, and she like spanked my hand. I was not supposed
Ooh.
to do that. A little no.
That's
So, but that's the one way to get me to go do more of that.
okay. That's a little bit of the Jesse James Outlaw just came out there.
A little bit. Yeah, I think it's so fun. The only part I share is the migratory ancestor thing. We're way back, but I just think it's funny because Jesse James. A lot of the Western people were in the Illinois area, and also like in the Pennsylvania area, and all of those, like that's where they all come from in the Midwest, right? So I think it's kind of funny, because my half brother Shane, and we haven't talked yet, but I talked to his wife, so that we're making progress. We're not quite there yet to talk yet, because I think it's overwhelming for all of us. But yeah, he also shares the same DNA I do with with Jesse James. That same migratory DNA, which is funny.
Well, his name is Shane. What another great cowboy movie. Shane, come back, Shane.
There you go.
Oh. But now, I could see it be overwhelming if I found out that I had a whole nother family, which I think I do. Yeah. I think I have a half brother that's out there. My father's long since passed, but I have a brother named Billy Joe, and I don't know where he's at. If he's still around. He's probably 3.5 years younger than I am. 3.5, 4 years younger than I am.
That's wonderful, though.
But I don't know. I've never found him. I've never seen him.
You know what's interesting in 23andMe is that they talked about that we all stem from Eden in that area. That Pangea, when they were all the continents were all together, right? And so we all stem from the same family that comes from the African area, and so we're all. They were saying we are all related to a point, So I mean, which is. I think that's amazing, I mean... Yeah,
I think back in the 80s when I was in high school, 86, I graduated high school, and I remember back then, if you believe the Bible wholeheartedly, we're all 52nd cousins. No more than that.
Pretty much. There you go. Something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just wonderful, that... And I think when people start to remember that we're pretty much related, that... they treat each other nicer, which
my goodness, yes.
And I know there's such lovely people out there, but the ones that need to have an adjustment, they need to learn to love God and love themselves, love each other, and God is a God of plenty. I mean, there is so much that there's nothing He can't give us, or there's nothing that He hasn't done for us that. He's incredible, and I think people forget that, as we're trying to make a living out down here or whatnot, He already has planned for us. He already knows what we need, and it's like, the greed of man doesn't need to exist, right? We know that, when they're like tearing down the rainforest or building up more buildings or this or that. I mean, it's a pity that they do that because, God can provide for all of us, which,
I'm no scientist. I don't know what's going on down there. I guess if they tear the God helps those that help themselves. It sounds like you're still in the ministry, and I love it. It sounds like that's something that's still in the back of your mind. Do you get up? Do you go to church still?
Not right now, but I love the 700 Club. That's one of the ones I like, for the pandemic. That? 700 Club, it's out of Virginia Beach, Virginia City.
Television, right?
It's Pat Robertson. I really like them. Not everybody likes him, but I do.
He's had his troubles in the past like everybody else has,
Yes, and I think, he was granted with a vision, and, they help other countries with the water, put the wells in, and feed people, Operation Blessing. They have Terry Meeuwsen in there, and so I mean, they do so much for so many people, and and you get, when we give to different ministries and things that are doing things for other people too, it all comes back, the law of reciprocity, like let's say Salvation Army too, or something like that. Even if we just give a little bit, it starts, God notices these things, and sometimes some of us like to, like do a little bit of tithing, and He knows where our hearts are in that. I mean, some people might go tithe, but they don't believe that, it'll come back to them, because God sees that, and that He's going to provide for their needs too. But the ones that really know this, that it comes back to us, all this good stuff, it's not always monetary blessings that come back. It's all the little things in between that we might take for granted sometimes, a roof over our heads, a table or clothes or something. Those are all blessings too, and the love of, our family and stuff. But I mean, I'm kind of losing track of my thoughts. But
no, I mean, it all comes down to faith. And I used to be a zealot, I was so faithful, but like I said, I've since lost it. But I can't tell you whether there is a God or isn't a God, and I guess that makes me agnostic if you put me in a box. But I can't tell you for sure out there, or either one way or the other. But it's faith. It's that faith that people need to have to devote to this, and it sounds like you have that faith, and you're able to instill that faith in others just through your works. Faith without works is dead, right? Isn't that the deal?
It's like, because He puts us down here, right? And, to become saved is the first thing with Jesus. That's the most important thing. But we all have something that, there was a time where I remember before I was born, before I came down here. And I remember my time, and I said I wanted to help. And so, and a lot of us said, oh, we want to help. And boom, He takes us at our word. And so we're born. But we all have some sort of thing that each of us can only do for Him. An assignment, that He has and worked out with us before we came down here. And so everybody has their talents or what they can bring to people in the way of whatever God has gifted them with. To know that we're His children, He loves us, and we take after our Father, and His DNA is creative. So all of us have some sort of creative thing going on anyway, because we inherited that from Him, and the universe is so big, but God is bigger than any kind of universe, and He keeps creating because He's a creator. So, but he is bigger than all that. But there's just so much. He creates our mansions, and those are waiting for us when we go on, And His idea of a mansion and our idea of a mansion is pretty much different. I'm sure of that. He can give He owns everything, and He gives it to us through Christ Jesus, and and that's not the most important thing. It's that Jesus, we love Him, and it's like He loved us so much. He gave His life for us, and now we're accepted by the Father again, and then He gave us the Holy Spirit to indwell in us. And he keeps us in our ways, or like not to come into harm or anything like that, or he's the one that's our counselor inside of us and guides us to the correct things that we need to be doing, and also the forgiveness, because I'm not perfect. I have a taste in the eclectic music, and He knows that, but yes, my heart's with him. I try to pick out positive music and all that kind of thing, but I want to help, like I said, the musicians that are struggling to get off either the streets or out of poverty, so they can feed their families. Because when their music hits us and stuff, and gets us to smile and go on or love on God more, I think it's so exciting. And it's like, they carry their ministries a far, far way too. For, it goes a long way with music,
Well, it sounds like you're on a path. You're helping other people, and you're making me smile.
Good.
I am doing some video on this. I have myself on video, but then I have a picture of you. So you're going to see, me smiling and listening to your words. But
did you find my baby picture?
I found a picture of you on your Twitter.
Dog?
No, the one with on your Twitter. That's what.
Okay, that one.
That's what I've been staring at this whole time while you're talking to me.
I was, the funny thing about that picture with the dark hair. I'm red hair right now, but the funny thing is, I went to a movie and it was in my late 30s to my 40s, and I sat. Well, it was in that time frame, and I sat in a little photo booth at a movie theater before I went to go see the movie, and I'm like, hey, they came out pretty good, like that, So I was happy about that. And I have one from my neighbor that's more current, Marcy. She wanted to see Dizzy, so I just kind of placed Dizzy up on the wall, and I held her so she, Marcy could see her, and that's more current. And I was looking the other way, and Dizzy was like focused on her, and that came out really good. I'm not really a photo type person.
Well, send me a picture and I'll use it for the audio version of it. But for the video version, I have the picture from your Twitter. But as we wind this thing down, you've already given shout outs to so many people that have touched you, that have helped you along the way. Are there any other people that you need to acknowledge, or any other avenues that you want to explore? Promote yourself if you have any money making businesses that you can promote, or if just anyone.
No. Okay. Yeah, people want shout outs. I know they do. Barry Dickinson is one from England. He's a minister, and they put one of my poems in a photo album. Not a photo album. It was like a picture stand or whatever, and it was called Farm Chapel. And so that's in South Fork or something. Anyway. Anyway, it's over there, and I don't want to take too long or anything. So the other people to shout out to is Twiz, Michael Patrick, Jason King, Dov McAllis, Richie, Dr. Jimmy, Fred Baylid, Katian and Alexandra, Harold and Harold, Katia, Martha, Robert, Rachel, Sister Faith, and everybody else. So that I please forgive me for not getting to everybody. I love and appreciate you as well, but there's a lot of them, But yeah, those folks want a definite shout out, as far as I know.
Well, these are people that have crossed your path, that have helped you along the way, and that you're in turn helping them as well. And keep doing what you do. Hey, this doesn't have to be the last time that we chat. We'll catch up again over the next few months or a year from now. Find out what's going on in Susan Clark's world. If you're writing any more poems, writing any more songs, or preaching. There's some developments. But I just can't say until they come into fruition. You creative types, you're all the same. I was talking to a movie actor, and they said, "Oh, we got something in the fire, but I'm not allowed to say what's going on." Oh, I want exclusives.
Yeah, you'll get when I get to you will. It's yours.
Why is it that they don't want to say? Because people will steal their stuff?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Stealing their ideas.
Yes.
I think it's been said that there's no new ideas. It's all the same thing, just recycled over and over into certain.
It can be, but sometimes people they're in their own backyards, right? And they like to look over into their neighbor's backyard, and they decide that it's like better than their backyard, and they want something out of it, so they want to grab that instead of just work on their own backyards or of their houses and stuff, or their own. Not all people are like that. I'm gonna clarify that.
Yes.
But some people, I mean, they might want that cookie that you made. They don't want to make their own cookies. And sometimes we share and it's okay, and other times, I don't know,
I guess it's harder in third world countries because here in the first world, if I want a cookie, there's cookies everywhere.
There you go. There's a lot of cookies. I don't know, but still, we should, it's good to share things, but, when people are just doing that and they won't actually help you, like maybe support you, but they'll act like they're supporting you. Well, but just to get into your ideas or something, but not everybody is like that. Not, and I don't think a lot of people mean to be, but there's something for everybody. God's got something for everybody to be doing and to become, and so that's the thing there.
Well, you've already mentioned you're a giving person, and I hope that all those blessings do return to you, Susan Clark. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you too.
Thanks for hanging with me for the last hour or so. This is great.
It's been fun.
How do you want people to connect with you? Just on the Twitter? Is that the only thing that you have out there?
Yeah, they have the direct message, and the ones that have the email, they can get on that, and the ones that do have my phone number, they can find me.
But no Facebook, no Instagram.
I tried to. YouTube is a strange story. I can still YouTube people out, for retweet their music or whatever. But I lost my password, and I tried to redo my password, right? But they won't redo the password. But at least I can still help my music people on there. And then Facebook, I did try that a long time ago, but we got hacked. A lot of people. There's a person that hacked us and it created horribleness for us, and so I'm not with Facebook anymore. I'm on LinkedIn. That is the other one I'm on. So
how do they find you there?
Create a account. It's just my regular name. So
Susan Clark.
I would have Susan Clark. Right.
In Tucson, I guess they could find you out there somewhere.
In Tucson, yeah, LinkedIn. They just can go on there and find Susan Clark,
Well, all right.
Or we could talk forever. We'd be like.
Oh, this could definitely be a 4 or 5 hour podcast if I let it go, because it sounds like we're chit chatting for sure. But I usually finish these things off. Let's get this thing into the garage. I finish these things off with last words for the people. Susan Clark, I want you to give words of advice, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with, maybe a sermon or a scripture or something, since that's the way you go, or a song lyric, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Susan Clark, give the last words for the people.
Definitely have Jesus in your life. He is everything to me, and he is the reason for our existence.
Well, there you have it, party people. Susan Clark. What a nice lady. What a nice person. My goodness. She's not only creative with the poetry, because that's pretty much all I knew about her was the poetry, and maybe a little bit about the spiritualness and the God, God aspects of it. But man, she seems like a really nice person that likes to help people out. She's God-fearing. She has, faith in her heart. And, with the Christian singers, the Christian artists, if you're an artist that's looking to have some promotion, connect with Susan Clark. At the very least, she'll retweet you and you'll make a nice friend out of it. How about that? Susan Clark, thank you so much for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. That was a very nice conversation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And, you're shouting out. You're giving credit where credit is due, letting the people know that they're the ones that help you out along the way, so you, in turn, help them. That's what we're supposed to be doing, helping each other out. Yeah, do that. If you can first, help yourself, get yourself together, and then if you can, help somebody else. I think I've heard that a time or two. I fully believe it. Help each other. Thank you, Susan Clark. And now, I'm turning my attention to you. If you would like to tell your story on the What Makes You Famous podcast, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.